I'm Marcel, I'm from Australia.
Hi, I'm Wendy and I'm from Czech Republic. And this is our Toyota Hiace camper van.
This is the second van we built, but the third we travelled in. We built this van in Chile pre-pandemic in 2020, abandoned it for 3 years, came back in 2022, finished the build and started our South American van trip. Building a van in South America is nothing like building it in a Western country. Things are hard to come by, things are much more expensive, and not knowing the Spanish language made it 10 times more difficult. No one speaks English here. We don't actually know how the system works. So in saying that, let's show you what we came up with in the innovative ways we made things work. This is a 2003 Toyota Hiace long wheelbase 3-litre diesel. It's done 230,000 kilometers. We've already driven over 30,000 kilometers in it, and it is a workhorse. The motor is one of Toyota's bulletproof 5L engines. We've never had a problem with it. These things are well known to go over 500,000 kilometers, but it comes with a cost. It is more like driving a light truck. It doesn't have a lot of creature comforts, but it gets the job done. The one main thing we made sure we got right this time was get the seats reupholstered. The original seats were absolutely destroyed. There was no back support, no lumbar support, and if we would have driven 100 meters, our back started to ache. So we got them reupholstered and refoamed in Santiago for $500, and it was one of the best investments we've done on this van. Welcome to our little kitchen. To a mid to small size van like this, I think this is a really good size functional kitchen. We've got a sink with running water with a flexible faucet, which is really good for when you're washing dishes. The cutting board is an extension of the bench top, so that goes on top of the sink. And our sink is actually made out of a bain-marie, which we drilled a sink and plug hole in, just so it was much cheaper than buying an actual sink when we were in Santiago. Down here is where we have our bin and our gas bottle and all our dishwashing stuff, and basically anything that we don't really want to look at. 3 main drawers. The top one is our cutlery, spices and cooking utensils. To make this space even more practical, we made a little sliding drawer at the top for our cutlery so we can access the bottom and then also take it out if we need to clean anything. And down here are our 2 big food drawers where we keep pretty much the majority of all our food. We hold about a week's worth of food just in these 2 drawers. So these 3 drawers are held closed with 40 kilo magnetic heavy duty drawer closers, which is great because these aren't that heavy and they hold closed so they don't open when we drive. On the other side is our 2 burner gas stove. We have a 5 kilo propane bottle which lasts us about a month to a month and a half depending how cold the climate is and how much water we heat up. Under the stove we have our benchtop extender where we keep our chopping board, and we also have a drying rack underneath this, which I think is extremely important and one of those things that a lot of people probably miss when they're building a van. It is always really important to have somewhere where you can dry wet clothes, wet tea towels, instead of having to hang them on hooks where they get smelly and moldy a lot quicker. Most of the time at night we pull this out and dry our wet clothes or wet tea towels, and in the morning they're always dry. Under the benchtop extender is our big kitchen storage drawer, which is held closed with a latch because these heavy drawers are hard to keep closed. So this is where we keep all our kettles, pots, pans, blenders, and anything that we use for our cooking on the stove. Under that is our 40-litre compressor fridge, which is also locked with a latch, and we hold about a week's worth of food in here pretty easily. It's also really important, if you're going to put your fridge in a drawer like this, you need to make sure that you have adequate ventilation around the compressor. The way that I've done that in this van is creating an airflow around the compressor using 2 computer fans wired up to the actual compressor fan, so when the compressor turns on, my exhaust fans turn on. I've got a fresh air vent on here and the 2 exhaust fans on the other side. So when the fridge does turn on, it pulls air in, across the compressor and out, keeping the compressor cool, which in turn increases the efficiency of your fridge and you'll use less power as you won't be overheating your compressor. So we put in a stone tile splashback behind our stove and our sink to stop oils and muck spraying on our nice white wall. It's also deflecting the heat when we cook, which is great, so we don't burn our plywood dividing wall. And in between the 2 tiles is our emergency hatch where we can get from the back to the front without getting out of the van in the event there is an emergency, we're sleeping and we need to leave ASAP. It's got a little lever that keeps it in place, folds up, down, and you can climb through. I'm pretty big and probably just fit in here, but in the event that there was a real emergency, I think Vendy would be the one climbing through. Adequate ventilation in a van is one of the most important things that you should definitely not skip over when designing your van, especially if you're going to be cooking inside. We put our ventilation fan directly above our cooker so it exhausts the heat and the fumes when we're cooking. You also want to be able to create a flow through your van, so from one end of the van to the other. We have a window that we can open on the back with a fly net so no insects can come in, which creates a full functioning drawer through and up the van, extracting heat on a hot day. Another great feature of this kitchen that we built is a slide out table, which is also really great because I can't quite stand up inside, but I can stand up outside and still cook and use this as a table for preparing food, or if we're just out here having drinks, we can put our drinks on it. And it slides away nice and neatly. Because I've made this kitchen as big as possible and put the fridge in the corner here without chamfering off the corner, we could no longer open the door, as the opening mechanism from the door is now behind this wall. So the way we solve that is create a remote opening system with some bicycle brake cable. So this is the locking mechanism and this is the opening mechanism. We just pull this, open it up, and you can see how it connects to the opening mechanism down here.
Welcome to our dining room, living area and office setup. This is our pull-out table that slides underneath the bed. Our 2 seats with storage underneath. Because we work full-time in the van, we needed the seats to be as ergonomical as possible. So to save space, we made the seat backrest trapezoidal shape for lower back comfort.
So we do have a couple of different workstation setups, this being one of them. This being another one where I'm using the kitchen extender as a secondary desk. And then the last setup with one person on the bed and one person using the table.
Despite being a small to medium-sized van, we incorporated a lot of storage in the back and in the front, thanks to the extended fiberglass high roof that allows us to store all our clothes and crockery. Masa's on this side, Vendy's on this side. To make things neat and organized and fit more stuff, we use these IKEA boxes and rolling method, and we can store all our clothes that we wear on daily basis right here.
So one of the things that makes this small to mid-sized van functional, livable and comfortable full-time is what I call the semi-permanent bed setup. So this bed has 2 modes, a day mode and a night mode, and it slides out and you can make the bed in under 10 seconds without having to put a sheet on, which is one of the most annoying things for making a bed on a daily basis. So to make the bed, you fold down the 2 seat backrests, slide it out, and there you have it, your fully made bed in under 10 seconds. So the bed is 190 centimeters by 150 centimeters. The mattress is high density foam, so it's super comfortable, and it's also raised quite a bit off the ground, which gives us an extra garage storage area. The bed slides out and is suspended on wooden glides, which is super strong, which can hold both our weight sitting right on the edge. It also slides back and you can make the bed in under 10 seconds, which is every van lifer's dream, because the last thing you want to do is spend 10 minutes making the bed every day, which absolutely sucks. So the sliding mechanism for this bed is actually quite simple. If you want to see how I built it, you can check out the build video back in 2020 when I built it in Santiago. I'll link it here. It's basically interline slats with a stationary part and a moving part. It slides out super easily, and I think it's one of the best bed designs for a van this size, where you can't physically fit a fixed bed, but you want something easy and functional and something that's going to allow you to enjoy your van life experience. So if you're liking this design and you want to get access to it, you can download the full 3D model from my website, saltyvanventures.com. The 3D model is dimensionally accurate to this model, has the layout and all the measurements you need to build this design in your van. The link will be in the description. So this is the Sirocco 2 Elite brushless motor fan from Caframo. It has 4 speeds, a full gyroscopic range of motion. It is whisper quiet when it's on. You can barely even hear it, so we have it on all night when we're sleeping, and is really the only thing that allows us to sleep in these warmer climates as we're heading north through South America. Without this fan, I think we would really be in trouble with trying to sleep in the hot climate, so it is one of our most favorite items in the van. So this is our back storage area under the bed, known as our garage. We keep all our items that we don't use on a daily basis, like our winter clothes when we're in the warmer climates, hiking gear and stuff like that. and having an elevated bed system like this is good because it gives you a lot of bulk storage options. This is also where we store our 200 amp hour battery, also where we house our water tanks, which are two 30-litre tanks connected together to create a 60-litre system. Our water pump is a submersible 12-volt pump directly connected to a one-way valve, meaning the water comes out instantly and doesn't flow back into the tank. The reason why we didn't go for a diaphragm pump on this system is because they were so hard to come by and expensive in Santiago when we were originally building the van. So one of the reasons that we went for a water system like this is so we could take the tanks out. A lot of the times in South America there's no taps, so you actually have to fill the tanks up themselves rather than with a hose. With this method we can actually take the tanks out pretty easily, walk them to a water source and fill them up, then put them back into the van. Getting fresh water in South America can be challenging depending on which country you're in. Chile and Argentina tap water is generally drinkable, but the further you go north, the tap water starts to become non-portable. So when we fill up our water tanks, we normally fill it up with tap water and only really use it for dishes and washing ourselves. We also carry one of these 20-litre bottles and we just exchange it in pretty much any store, so we only really drink this water. And we store that in the back too. So under this seat is where we keep our electronics, which is our charge controller, fuse box, relays for our fridge, and our VCR, as well as an isolator shut-off switch. We've got a 200 amp hour deep cycle AGM battery in the back, as well as a 1000 watt pure sine wave inverter charged by the sun by a 150 watt solar panel. Because we built this van before the pandemic in Santiago, electronics for caravans, camper vans, and anything 12 volt were extremely expensive and hard to come by. Hence why we went with quite a basic system. I even bought in my own fuse box and VCR from Australia because we could not find them in the country when we were building the van. We didn't go with a lithium setup with an MPP charge controller because the prices for lithium batteries in South America are 4 times the price compared to Australia, Europe, or the States, which is crazy. Hence why we went with an AGM battery. We've got our switch controls and voltage meter on the wall here so we can keep an eye on our AGM battery state of charge at all times to make sure we don't drop below 50%. We've got our front and back light switches as well as our fridge on a relay switch so we can turn it on and off remotely if we need to. So the inverter is positioned behind this wall and it didn't come with a remote on and off switch, which some inverters do. So I made my own, which definitely voided the warranty as I had to open it up and wire in a little remote switch, which I wired into here so we can turn the inverter on and off from the cab without having to go back into the garage area. I also wired multiple power point units around the van so we can charge our laptops, blenders, or anything 240 volts.
This is our solar shower. It's perfect for the van where you cannot actually fit a proper bathroom inside. It holds 30 liters of water and it heats up to 35 degrees during the day. It's high enough that it will flow just because of gravity. But if we need more pressure, we can pressurize it with a 12-volt pump.
A recent addition to the van and something that we're using pretty much every day now, the further we go north when we see more mosquitoes and flies, is our magnetic fly screen door. I couldn't find anything like this in Peru factory, so I made it myself out of just some window insect netting and some magnets I ripped out of some magnetic drawer holds I could find at the hardware store. So this now just stores nice and neatly. The magnets hold onto the actual kitchen unit, and then when you want to close it again, it just clicks right back. Alright, so hopefully you loved the van tour as much as we love this van. Remember, if you did like it, hit the like button below, which really helps the video spread out to a wider audience. Subscribe if you haven't to see more videos like this. And if you want to see what we're up to on a daily basis, you can follow us on Instagram at @salty_vanventures. So until next time, we'll see you later.